There was a play in yesterday's game that we have to talk about. It had minimal impact on the outcome. The Browns were going to win regardless. However, and G. Bush, you said it on the postgame show, you felt the Browns, once again, were done wrong by a referee.
Oh, my God.
We got to talk about it.
You went too far.
We got to talk about it.
Yeah. Make the comment that you made on the postgame show, because I think he did too. But this is one of the worst calls I have seen since the no pass interference call that kept a team out of a Super Bowl.
So this is my thing. Like, referees are human, right? There's a lot of times when you hear about Cleveland Browns, it is Cleveland Browns are a dumpster fire. You know, they're waiting for us to say, oh, this is it. No continuity. They fire coaches, can't find anybody. Look who they traded for. They try to make it a laughing stock. And so what I believe happens is referees are humans too. When you're used to seeing a team be terrible, fumble the football, not really be good, there's a small part of you in the back of your mind that be like, come on, that's the Cleveland Browns. He ain't staying in bounds. Or did he really do that? I guarantee anybody in the world, if this play happened with Patrick Mahomes or the Chiefs or the Cowboys or the Bills with really good quarterbacks and good teams or strong pillars of the NFL, they would have definitely did what they were supposed to do. And that is let the play ride. After the play, if you want to go back and look at it to see if the guy was out or not, go ahead and do it, and then do it with the procedure.
They're instructed to let the play go.
I love you. I love your enthusiasm. This call was horrible. The referee had to I don't know what he must have moved his eyes for a second. I don't know what the hell happened. But the Lions have been a dumpster fire, and the Bengals have been a dumpster fire, and the Jets have been a dumpster fire, and the Jaguars. I can't believe for a minute that the referee is sitting there saying, I'm going to screw the Browns on this call.
So why is it that out of the top 10 horrible ref calls, 5 or 6 of them are the Browns?
We watched the Browns. And
you don't know that that's true.
But wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's merit to what G is saying. I think we said before the show, you guys said only the Browns would have that call go against them. I don't agree with that. Yeah. But there is something, and I didn't know that I really believe this until I did a story on Mike Brown last year, the coach of the Kings, obviously the old Cavs coach. Right. And Mike said, like, one of his assistants went to dinner with an assistant on another team. And that guy said, we told our guys at shoot around, foul them, do things to them. They're not going to get the calls because they're the Kings. And Mike said, like, he got fined. He went crazy on an official because there was a bad call. And he said, like, this ain't the old Kings. You're not going to do that to us anymore.
Wow.
So there is merit to officials. And, like, while they're bad, it must be that way. But I don't think it's the only team that would get that call.
I think maybe in the middle is the truth. I don't think, I'm with you. Yeah. I don't think that this guy said, you know what? If this was a Steelers player, it's good.
Right.
But it's a Brown, so I'm going to blow my whistle. I don't think there was any malicious intent.
Correct.
However, is there a pervasive mindset?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's where we all know that Maddox could paint the corners. Maddox got calls that weren't strikes. We saw it against the Indians in the 95 World Series.
6 inches off the plate.
We saw it.
Yeah.
Players and teams that are known for greatness just inherently get those calls. Teams that don't get them. I'm going to go a different direction with the conspiracy theory. I'm not going to say the ref was on the take. What I am going to say is this. When the NFL decided we're going to put both arms around gambling, and now gambling is everywhere. It's no longer a seedy underbelly backroom deal. Mm-hmm. You can place bets from your sofa throughout the course of any game in America. What happens in instances like this is the fans lose credibility in the officiating community as a whole. That call is too straightforward to miss.
I know.
He's on top of it.
I would actually argue with that, Jay, because if you were going to cheat as an official, and I don't even think you're accusing the official.
No, he wasn't cheating.
You may be saying it's like
I'm not making that accusation.
No, I know
either.
that, Jay.
What I'm saying is, how else can you explain that you can't miss
but
that call?
If an official was going to cheat, in theory, and again, I know you're not saying that, you wouldn't do it in such an obvious way.
No, you do it on holding calls.
You wouldn't think.
Right.
You do it on holding calls.
Right. Holding calls.
Plays where you can't.
Questionable pass interference.
We're just going to, a big third down pickup, do it again.
The Ravens.
But that was just, I don't know how else you explain that.
I'll tell you something else. If you were watching the Ravens-Colts game, The Ravens got completely screwed.
Oh,
in that
I saw
game.
it. I saw it, and I
That was
agree
a
with you.
an obvious
That was
pass interference.
1,000%
They
pass
probably would have won the game. That bad call cost the Ravens a win.
It
Probably
did cost them a win.
But
they should be 3-0
They
right
went
now.
to Gene Steratore, and he said that the reason that he did this was because he thought Amari Cooper went out of bounds and was the first one to catch the ball, and it was illegal touching. He blew the whistle so they can bring it back. That is patently false. You're covering for your boy.
No, I never heard that either. And if he said that, he's wrong.
He did.
Well,
That's
he's
what
wrong,
he said it on telecast.
I mean, the referee throws the
his hat. He
Yeah,
throws his
that's
hat.
not what the referee was
Steratore
thinking.
said that word for word. G's right. That's
Wow.
what Steratore
Well,
said.
his head's in the clouds on
Is
that.
it possible he said that's what the official might
have been thinking?
I don't know.
I mean, you
Well,
can't.
yeah, he had to have because he didn't speak.
And so
I don't know.
But you throw your hat when the
I
guy's
just
out of
think you
bounds.
don't want to
throw
get
your
into
hat.
this thing where it's a woe is me and they're always going to pick on the Browns.
But here's the thing. But you can't.
Yeah.
You can't just blow your whistle. That's the cardinal sin.
It was
as a ref.
horrible.
You can't blow your whistle and call something dead because it's the end all be all. You let the play ride. Then you go back and look at it. He missed the call. He was on top of it. He didn't throw his hat if he thought he was out of bounds. And on top of it, he blows his whistle.
It was horrible. There's no defending that.
I want to ask you a question about the officiating and how they keep their jobs and the grading process. And here's the point that I wanted to make on that today. If you showed that play to 10,000 fifth grade kids and they understood the parameter of what is a catch and what is inbounds, a million fifth grade kids, 1 million out of 1 million fifth grade kids would never blow the whistle. He never came close to stepping out of bounds. So here's where I'm going with this. If I'm a player and I step on a field and I see that official is on the field again, I have no faith that the NFL is putting the best officials on the field that they can because he can't be one of them. He can't be.
Well, we don't know his whole. It's one disastrous
Boy,
play.
you can't miss that call.
Okay, well,
Jay, guys make disastrous plays on the field too.
But look at the call
He's
Jim
right
Joyce.
on top of it.
But look
I
at what.
hear ya.
Okay, but Jim Joyce blew a call that cost a perfect game.
He's one of the great
and he's one of the best
umpires.
umpires in baseball. They make bad calls.
At least.
No, that was just as bad as this.
They make
I
bad
get
calls.
it. You're right. After the call, he stood in a news conference and cried.
Yeah, and he said, "I kicked
And
the
this
crap
And no
out
one
of
felt
it."
worse about it than he did.
But
And
the
he
big,
probably does too.
But Jay, the big
I just don't. I can't. I have no faith in this guy.
The big difference is this, in the end, didn't cost him the game. Now,
Right.
maybe the league would have said something if it didn't cost him.
But not this time around.
It didn't.
But
I mean, it was
I'd like
horrible.
to know,
I don't think the guy should lose his
I don't
job
think the
because of
league
it.
has any transparency at all in that side
No,
of
they
it.
don't, and that's bad.
And here's the problem. In today's gambling world, they need to be more transparent with their officials.
This is what's funny about that is
What's his grade?
But the NBA has full transparency with their last 2 minute report, and the players hate it. The players and the coaches hate the last 2 minute report because they say, "What good is it? You blew the call." Okay, well, it doesn't change anything.
Right.
So the NBA is trying to have transparency and they hate it. The NFL, you're calling for it and they don't have it. Like honestly, I don't know what the right answer is
marvel
there.
how PFF puts grades out for 1,000 players. I don't know how the hell they do it. They must have magical elves up there.
We have Sam Monson coming on next week.
But how
to
about
explain
this?
it.
Yeah.
How about this? What are the officials' grades?
I'm sure,
I wanna know.
they're graded.
I want to know them.
And they have it on Twitter. They do MLB umpire auditor,
Yeah.
which is terrific on missed calls and
I
foul
love
calls.
it, and I think the
haven't
fans
seen
love
that
it.
for NFL
If
yet.
this official came out and said, "Hey, I don't know what the hell happened there. I had a
blew
brain
it.
freeze."
I'd at least
blew it.
feel better about it.
Would you have been okay with it?
Well, no, I would have.
Better.
I would like, just like
He
this.
should have done that.
In tennis,
Wish he
would've.
In tennis, there's a two-pronged system. An electronic beep comes on that says it was out, and
But
also
that's easy because everything's black or white.
But here's what I would do. I would also make that reviewable. If that happened and you look at it, he calls him out or whatever he said, there needs to be somebody somewhere else to be like, hold on.
Well, how do you remedy that? The whistle was blown.
Right, like how many because he wouldn't have gotten a touchdown on that play.
No, but clearly the
he would've got
defensive back was turned around. He
But he
would
would
have
have got like another 15 yards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, you disregard the whistle.
I think he may have gotten a touchdown. I
Let's
have to
see
see
what
it
it's
again.
scored on
but
that.
Oh, the
Well,
guy's
the
not- he's not
defensive
playing.
back,
Play it.
the
Here it
defensive
is.
back,
Play it.
like
They take a
Cooper,
full.
stopped.
Look, this.
It's going to reloop. Hold on.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a regular catch and score. Look at this. This ain't close. Look.
Okay, so he's got him
the
beat
other-
right there.
Right here.
And we
He's
don't
dead.
know.
He's dead. He's
He's
dead.
going to catch him before he gets to
But
the
you
end
don't know.
zone.
He
I
could have
mean,
made a move around him.
He
Yeah.
may
It's
have.
not a guaranteed
I think it's
touchdown.
more likely than not that he would have made the tackle, but he clearly would have moved the sticks more.
But instead of being at the
at the 40,
41,
you're at
he would have
least
been
at
at
the
least
20.
Probably right
at
here.
least at the 20 or the 15.
Yeah.
Something like- That's a huge difference.
And who knows? They ended up getting a field goal.
Yeah.
A lot of Browns fans were like, well, it cost us 4 points. Well, I don't know if it did. I don't know that he would have.
Yeah, we don't know
necessarily
that.
Scored.
In the end, fortunately, it didn't
But
matter.
still, it was just, like the backwards pass for DeShaun Watson. It didn't affect the outcome of the game, so you write it off. But we can't have calls like that in the NFL.
Here's what if the silver lining is, it would have been so Browns for them to melt after that call. And they didn't. And they came and said, listen, it don't matter what that happened. We'll put more points on you and finish you off eventually. And I think that shows growth in what the team is.
Especially when they ended up not scoring a touchdown on that drive. They had to settle for a field goal, and still they went and they just dominated the rest of the game.
We're getting a lot of this in the chat, and Jason, I think you're or whoever wants to address this. Can you explain why that call is not reviewable? Just for the people out there.
Because the whistle.
There's no way of knowing where to spot the ball.
Yeah.
Once the whistle blows,
Once the whistle blows, that's why in general the one thing I'll give the credit for the league for is in general when it's questionable in those situations, the refs almost always, not all the time, but most of the time, let it go and then you figure it out after.
But that play's usually on a fumble. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Usually on a turnover. They let it go, let it play out, and then they'll come back and look at it.
But change of possession are all reviewed upstairs. Scoring plays are all reviewed upstairs. Right. If he saw it, I understand why he blew the whistle, because in his mind, he saw him step out, you blow the whistle. But I'm just saying, if you see it, if you think you see it, you blow, because otherwise you're costing Tennessee a challenge. That's the only way you review that play.
Right.
If it's, well, I'm not sure. Well, now you're going to make Tennessee burn a challenge, which if it rolls
and they wouldn't have done anyhow, because by that point they would have shown it on the big screen, or somebody would have told Vrabel, he was clearly.
But in his mind, for whatever reason, he thought he saw him step out, and so he blew the. So I get why he blew it.
What I don't understand is
because that's not a reviewable play unless he scores.
It's not.
It's not going to be reviewed
the
unless
second
you
the whistle blows. That's it.
Right.
What's crazy is that even now that I'm thinking about this even more, even if he had the brain fart and somehow missed it, there's no chance he could have seen the foot. Even if he said, well, I somehow, in his brain, I'm trying to get in his brain, he's thinking, I missed it. Like, why wouldn't you just let it go?
Err on the side of caution and let it go.
Because he clearly thought he saw him step out.
How could he have thought he saw it?
Well, then you know what we got to check? His eyes. Because he's not seeing right.
I think there's too many, coming from an out-of-shape person, too many out-of-shape officials.
Or I think there's too many times people anticipate certain things.
That happens in the NBA.
You're anticipating the contact, anticipating he was out, and then you react on it because think about it. He's seen thousands of plays like that. He might say, well, listen, I haven't seen somebody be in bounds that way and continue. He had to be out. I'm going to just go air on the side.
It looked like Amari was kind of trending towards going out of bounds.
Right.
But he turned and he
never even
wasn't close.
I think we're getting a little prisoner of the moment because I think officials actually do a pretty good job.
I do too.
Listen,
overall,
I don't understand a catch.
Yeah, and I don't know
what
this
a
guy
catch
should lose
is.
his job for this.
Jay,
but for the most part, there's enough of them on the field that they're usually in the right spot. This is just a one-off, guys.
Overall, they do a good job.
Here's the thing, and I think, Bull,
I think they do a better job in the NFL than they do the NBA.
You err on the side of caution. What call can you make can't be fixed?
Right.
That one.
But in that moment,
if you're not sure, let it go.
But
and
obviously,
if it's wrong, it's gonna bear out in the replay.
As insane as it seems, Jason's right. That guy in his brain thought his foot touched out of bounds.
He stepped out.
I don't know how, but
because you can't just let it. You can't say I'm not sure. I'm going to let it go because it's not reviewable unless Tennessee challenges it.
I know, but you and I both know if it was clearly a case where he stepped out of bounds and it wasn't called, Vrabel's going to hear about it.
Sure.
They're looking at the game up in the box.
But as an official, you don't want to cost a team a challenge. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bad spot for him. And remember, this is going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. I know.
We have the benefit of replay.
I'll say this. Now, there was one play yesterday where it could have gone either way. It was the Hopkins catch. Did his toe graze the turf before it hit out of bounds? In instances like that, you could show that to 10 people, and 5 may say, oh, he got grass, and 5 may say, I can't definitively say he got grass. I have to let the play on the field stand, call on the field stand. In this particular case, because it wasn't close, it wasn't like maybe his heel got.
It's not like he was in the middle of the field.
We're watching.
It's not like he was in the middle of the field. It was along the sideline.
But he wasn't within a foot of the line.
It was a bad call.
So just err on the side of caution. Gosh, I don't know.
But again, we agree with you. But what Jason's saying is right. In his mind, the guy touched out of bounds.
So you blow it dead.
How his mind gave him
that I can't understand.
Well, and then I want to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Where does this guy stand in the pantheon of officials right now?
Yeah.
Where is he? There's no transparency to the fan.
Yeah. No,
there isn't.
Who these guys are,
Yeah.
how many of them.
And again,
there are a few line judges in the NFL that I just think they can't see.
And I probably should have gone and looked and see who this guy was, because I didn't. I still couldn't even tell you his name, who made that call.
I don't either.
But the NBA, again, not to keep going back to the NBA, but they do a nice job. If there is a play like that, you can send a pool reporter to send a list of questions to the official.
Baseball does that too.
And they'll answer, like, what did you see on that play? And they'll tell you.
Yeah.
I don't believe the NFL. To my knowledge, I can't recall. I mean, I haven't been around the NFL as much as I was in the NBA.
I think in playoff games.
Yeah, I don't remember.
In playoff games, I think the no pass interference call that kept the Saints out of the Super Bowl, didn't the league or the official actually come out and with an official statement? Now, obviously, that's that's the biggest miss you can have.
So,
Kept the team out of the Super Bowl.
So if players got to talk after games, why don't they make refs talk?
I'm with you. I want the same accountability and the same transparency in the officials.
Not every game, but if there's a play like that,
I mean,
they should be.
Honestly, in the grand scheme
accountable
of things, the Ravens got screwed more than the Browns.
They did, because
the Ravens case, it cost them a game.
It cost them the football game. It cost them the football game.
I'm happy about, but
I am too. But
still,
you can imagine how Harbaugh feels this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, in the moment, he was saying, that is clearly a terrible call.
By the way, on a side note, is Harbaugh the most punchable coach on the sideline? Yes or no?
Jim?
Which one?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Jim is.
No, John.
John is not.
In the NFL.
I like John.
I think he's very punchable.
No, I like John.
No, I like John too. I respect John. You know who's, I talked about this last week. I don't want to say punchable, but I'm not a big fan of Mike McDaniel.
Oh, I love him.
I know you guys do.
I love him.
Where are you on him?
Love him.
I know he got some crazy plays.
He does have crazy plays.
I mean, he got people. He runs this wheel route with this tight end, and like they do this action. They'll run like 4 different actions off of it. And I think he's funny because
his post-game or his halftime interview last week was hilarious.
He's the guy that if you've worked in a factory or something, he's like the foreman's son. Yeah. And he got out of college and he just comes to the plant and it's like, yeah, guys, we're gonna do it differently. And these guys been doing it for 36 years and about to retire.
You don't care.
It's like, yeah, we're gonna do spreadsheets and data stuff. They're like, what the heck is going on?
By the way, he put up 70 without his second best skill position player.
I know.
Jalen Waddle was hurt.
Nuts. It was absolutely nuts.
Didn't play.
Now that's a punchable face, Sean Payton.
Sean Payton.
He's got a punchable face.
And the Payton project is not going well.
No, I love it. I love it.
It is not
crash
going
and burn.
well.
And by the way, and I'll go right to McNuggets after this. People talk about that money for DeShaun Watson. That Russell Wilson money and draft capital might look like the worst joint I've ever seen.
Because of how he's played.
Oh yeah, there is
because the Browns gave up more, but Russ is worse.
Yes.
And here's the funny thing. We always talk quarterback, coach, which is it? Well, in the case of Russ Wilson, I think we can clearly say that it was Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
And in the case of Sean Payton, I think we can clearly say it was Drew Brees. Because you've put these 2 Super Bowl winners together, and right now, I don't know how this book ends, but I would not want to be a Denver Broncos fan right now because I don't see any light.
It's a tough spot to be in, and that's where Anthony Antonelli's sitting as a
Denver
native. It's tough. Earl has one thing he wants to mention about the Amari Cooper no call, though.
So I brought this up on the post game yesterday. I just wanted your thoughts on it real quick. It seems like to me that if I go back in time to the playoff game versus Kansas City with Hollywood Higgins, if you go back to the play, I think, with Jarvis Landry against the Colts and the Taunton, the Browns are always on the wrong side of a call or a no call that needs to be bookmarked for a penalty or a rule that needs to be changed at the end of the season. Do it feel like that to you all?
No. Earl, that feels like
any fan base.
That feels like every fan base is going to say the same. It's like when you say the national announcer's rooting against me. But you're biased, not him.
But there has been things that happen to Brown that is Bottlegate has never happened to any other team. After the play was over,
Orlando Brown.
The Saints penalty non-call in overtime that changed.
And you know what? The Saints, by the way, at that time had a real beef because it put the Rams into the Super Bowl. Correct?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember that play. I remember they blew the call, but I don't remember
the
play. It was Nikhil Roby-Coleman tackled Kamara at the back. It literally tackled. It should have been passing her.
Again, show a million fifth graders that play.
As egregious a non-call as you've ever seen.
And here's why it upset me so much. They had a narrative to get the Rams in a Super Bowl. They were new to Los Angeles. They're trying desperately to build that fan base, which, by the way,
Still isn't going well.
It's LA is what it was 40 years ago
Yes.
when they tried with two
Yes.
franchises and both failed.
And
there.
guess what? Vegas is the same as LA.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Vegas is LA Part 2.
Yep.
That crowd last night for the Steelers, that was a Steelers crowd.
Yep.
There were times
Well, it was the
when,
same thing with the Cowboys in Arizona.
well, yes, but that's the Cowboys. Vegas is always going to be, because when the schedule comes out, you know what they're saying in Charlotte when the Panthers are going there?
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to Vegas.
Right.
So it's always going to be a good, but
yeah.
here's back to the original call. The NFL had an axe with the New Orleans Saints and Sean Payton over the whole Bounty Gate. But
I don't think that had anything to do with the call.
I'm just saying, like I said earlier, how there was no memo that was put
the
out.
specter.
But
Yeah.
the narrative was Saints get no breaks, boys. Saints get no breaks. They tried to end the National Football League. They
Yeah.
wanted to sue the NFL out of business. And the Rams, we need an LA team in the Super Bowl. We got to build these fan bases. It's the #2 market in the world. I'm going to make a prediction right now. I'll be dead before it comes true.